Hey, what's going on everybody? And today we are going to finally do part 3 of how to build Flappy Bird. We'll be working on collisions, dying, restarting the game, and scoring. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get a point or two. Oh, I died. And now we have our restart button, so I'm going to click on that, resets the scene, and we can play again. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is open up our flappyclone.xcode project. Just go into our folder, open that up, and then I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Now the first thing I want to accomplish is adding score. Now the way to deal with score is actually to place something in between the pipes, so as soon as the bird flies through it, it collides with that thing that's in between the pipes, and there's no collision going on, but it's actually registered as such, and you can get score that way. So the way you accomplish this is by going down here to your create pipes, and we need to go down here and just create our score node. So we're going to say let score node equal an SK_sprite node, open close parentheses. And now with the sprite node, we need to create a size as well. Now how big do we want our score node to be? Well, first of all, let's do some math. So if we take our top wall right here, it is a 1000 by 100 image. And from that, we actually divided that by 2, so that is actually going to be a 500 by 50 image. Now in here, we set the Y position equal to 350. And we also decreased the Y position of our bottom wall 350 as well. So given that, we can actually add these 350s together. That'll give us 700, and then you just subtract the size of the top wall or the bottom wall. They're both the same, so it really doesn't matter. So 700 minus 500 equals 200, and that is the size of our gap. So let's go up here, and we're going to set our score node.size equal to CG size, open parentheses, we're going to give it a width of 1, that way it's directly in the center, and we're going to give this a height of 200. As we just calculated. Now where do we want the position of this to be? Well, this is actually fairly simple. You just go score node.position. We're going to set this equal to our CG point, and then open parentheses, we're going to give it an x value of our self.frame.width divided by 2. So that puts it directly in the center of our scene. Now our y value is actually going to be directly in the middle of the scene. That's because, again, our wall pair is the thing that's being edited in the y value factor. So this is the thing that's going negative 200 to 200. We only need to worry about this number to change the score node and whatnot. So we're going to say self.frame.height divided by 2. Now next thing we need to do is add a physics body to this. We want this to collide with other things, so we just need to say score node.physics body, and we're going to set this equal to an SK physics body, open parentheses, so a SpriteKit physics body. We're going to give this an equal to a rectangle of size, and we're just going to say our score node.size. Now, do we want this to be affected by gravity? Of course not, so we're going to say score node.physicsBody.affected by gravity will be equal to false. And we also want this to be static. We don't want it to be affected by any of the nodes that collide with it. So we're going to say score node.physicsBody.dynamic. I'm going to set this equal to false. Now, next thing we need to do is add our bit masks. So let's go right up here and go over to our physics category right up here. And we're going to say static let score :uint 32, and then this will be equal to 0x1 less than, and this will be 4. So now that that's all set up, let's go down here again and add our bit masks. So we're going to say score node.physicsBody.category bitmask, and we're going to set this equal to our physics category.score. And then we also need to add a collision bitmask, but we don't really want it to collide with anything, so we're going to say score node.physicsBody.collision bitmask. We're going to set this equal to 0, so we don't want this to collide with anything. Now, we want this to contact with things, so that's where we're going to put our score node.physicsBody.contact test bitmask. And we're going to set this equal to our physics category.score. And we want this to be affected by the ghost, so we're just going to put in ghost. And we also want our ghost to contact with the score node. So let's go up here to our ghost, and we're going to go right here to the ghost.physicsBody.contact_test bitmask. We're going to add a straight line and then just say physics category.score, like so. Now, what do we want to happen when these things do collide? So let's go up here to our game scene right here, the class game scene, and we actually need to add another superclass. So we're going to say skPhysics contact delegate. Then alongside with this, we need to actually go into our did move to view, and we're going to say self.physicsWorld.contact delegate, and we're going to set this equal to self. So what this is saying, it's actually going to handle or delegate any physics contacts that go on. So now we need to actually add a function saying what's actually going to happen. So we're going to say did begin contact. Now this is a thing that's actually stored right inside of this skphysics contact delegate. So if you didn't add that and this isn't automatically showing up, then you did something wrong. So be sure to add that and just type in did begin contact, then just tab that all in, and then you can go right in here. Now one thing you'll notice is that inside of here we have the contact, and this will be the skphysics contact. Now essentially what's stored inside of this contact is what elements have collided with each other, and all the necessary information that's inside of them. So in here we actually need to test accordingly with those objects. So we need to say let first body, and we're going to set this equal to our contact.body A, and that'll be our first body. If you look right here, body A is an skphysics body, just making sure you know that. Now we go down here and we're going to say let second body equal contact.body B. And now with this first body and the second body, we can actually go down here and say if the first body dot category bit mask is equivalent to, and we'll say if this is equivalent to, say, the physics category dot score, then we can do something in here, but we actually want to add something else onto this. So if the first body dot category bit mask is equivalent to score, and so we can actually want to put in here 2 ampersands like so. So if this statement and the statement coming after this, then we're going to run this. So we actually need to write in here, and we're going to say if the second body dot category bit mask is equivalent to the physics category dot ghost, then we can do this stuff in here. But actually we also want to take this one step further, because you never know if the first body is going to be the score or the ghost. So we need to switch this around as well. So I'm going to just copy that, and then right after this ghost right here, we're going to add 2 lines like that. This is basically just saying if this is true or if this is true, then we can run this if statement. So let's go over here to our first body.category bitmask, and we're just going to set this equal to ghost. And then we're going to go after that to our physics category.ghost right here and set that equal to score. Now, what do we want to do in this if statement? Well, of course, we want to add some score. So let's go up here to our game scene, and we're going to say var score will be equal to an integer, like so, and then open close parentheses. That's all it is. So now we can go down here to our did begin contact, and we can just say score plus plus. Or if you want to be fancy, you can be score plus equals 1 or 2 or whatever you want to do. But score plus plus is just a shortcut way to say score plus 1. And now also before we continue on is actually we need to add the score node onto our wall pair. So let's go down here to our wall pair, and we're going to say wall pair dot add child, and we're going to add the child of course, our score node. Like so. And now if we were to build and run this, this would actually count our score. But the problem is we wouldn't really know because we don't have a label or anything telling us. So a shortcut way to just tell what your score is, you could just type up here, print, and then just type in your score. And that'll actually be popping up as dialogue right down here in the bottom right hand corner. So let's go ahead, build and run this, and we shall see it in just a minute. So here we have our ghost. I'm just going to click, make him jump, go through some pipes, like so. And we should at least see some score coming in. So now you can go down here and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know what? Let's actually minimize this and see what's going on here, because I definitely didn't go through 6 pipes. So let's go ahead, build and run this again. Now for some reason our counting of our score is being really weird. As you can see, I haven't hit anything, but yet my score is 2. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Let's go down here to our score node, and we're going to say score node dot color, and we're going to set the color equal to, we'll say sk color dot blue color, whatever you want. Now let's go ahead, build and run this, and we should see where our nodes are coming in from. Now as you can see, oh, there are my nodes. Okay, so we actually need to go over here to our score node, and I messed up with the position. This CG point right here should be self.frame.width, not divided by 2. That should be off to the right of our screen, as is the same with our top wall, as you can see right there, and also this wall right here. So now if we were to build and run this, let's see where our nodes are now. Make them jump. As you can see, they are now directly in the center. So now as we hit them, we actually gain score, and now you can see how it all works. I might just leave them in there. That looks kind of cool. Alright, so continuing on, let's go ahead and add a label. So we're going to go right up here and say let score label equal, and we're going to make this equal to an SK label node, open close parentheses. And now with this label, of course, we want it to show our score. So let's go into our did move to view, and we're going to set up this label a bit more. So first we're going to set up the position. So I'm going to say score label dot position will be equal to, and this will be a CG point, open parentheses. We'll give this an X value of the center, so self.frame.width divided by 2. And our Y value, I want this to be up in the upper part of our screen all the time. So I'm going to set this equal to our self.frame dot height divided by 2. So this will set it right in the center of the scene, but we want it to be above again, so I'm going to say plus our self.frame.height, and we're just going to divide this by, let's say, 2.5. And that should make it slightly below the top of our screen. And also with this label, we're going to say score label.text will be equal to open close quotation mark / open close parentheses, and inside of this we're going to type in our score. Just like so. So that's just converting our score into something that's readable as text. And now let's just add this onto our scene and see where we're at. So I'm going to just say self.addChild, and this will be my score label. Now go ahead, build and run. And as you can see, there is my label up there. We will work on the design of things in part 4, but right now if we were to click and jump and go through these holes, we should see that nothing happens. Now this is because we actually didn't put this inside of our did begin contact. So let's go down here to our did begin contact, and instead of this print score, we're just going to say score label.text will be equal to, and again we're going to set this equal to open close quotation mark / open parentheses close parentheses, and inside of this will be score. And now if we were to build and run this, you should see that as soon as we jump through these holes, that we will get our score to raise. So there we have 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Now another thing is that my label is going behind all the walls, and I don't want that to be happening, so let's go back to our scene, and we're going to set up our Z position of our score label. So we're going to go right up here to our did move to view and say score label.Z position, and we're going to make this equal to just some crazy number, 5. We just really want this to be above everything else, so keep it as high as you want. So now if we were to build and run this, let's see what happens. So now we have our ghost, let's go ahead and make them jump, and as you can see, our label is above our walls, and that is perfect. Now another thing I wanted to accomplish in this part of the tutorial is a restart. So let's go down here to our did begin contact, and we also need to say if our first body.category bitmask will be equal to, and we'll say the physics category.ghost, and then ampersand, and then second body.category bitmask is equivalent to, and we'll set this equal to our physics category.wall. And then we also need to switch this around, so let's just copy and paste that, like so. And then we're going to take that first ghost, and we're going to change this out for a wall. And then take this second one, and we're going to change this out for the ghost. And then just add a curly bracket after that, and enter. And I also just realized that my font size was really small for video work, so hopefully that's not that big of a nuisance for you guys, but I just changed it. Now what do we want to happen with this ghost if it collides with the wall? Well, first off, we don't want him to be able to jump anymore, so let's go up here to our game scene, and we're going to add another Boolean value, so our true or false statement. So we're going to say variable died, we're going to set this equal to a bool value, like so. So now we can go down here to our did begin contact, and right in here we can say died will be equal to true. He died. Now what do we do when he's dead? Well, first off, let's go down here to our touches begin. Now what are we doing when he's dead? Well, let's go down here to our touches began, and we want to go right down here to this else statement. So we're going to say if died is equal to true, then we really want to do nothing, so we're just going to leave that empty. Else, if it is he didn't die, then we want to run this other stuff and just play the game as normal. And it's as simple as that. So let's go ahead, build and run this, and let's see if he collides with the wall, what happens. So I'm jumping. And then as soon as I hit the wall, I can't click anymore, and he's dead. Now another thing I want to happen is for a restart button to pop up as soon as he dies. So let's go back up to our scene, and let's go ahead and create our button. So we're going to say let restart btn or button, and we're actually going to make this equal to an SKSprite node, then say open close parentheses. Now where do we want to set up this button? Well, let's go right down here to our did begin contact, and since this is going to be called right, so now we have our restart button, but we actually need to add this onto our scene a bit more. So let's go down here, and we're going to go right above our did begin contact, and I'm just going to create a new function to create the button. So we'll just call this function create btn, and then open close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. Like so. Now in here, the end button is actually going to be pretty bland right now. We're going to be working on design in part 4, like I said. So we're actually going to say restart button will be equal to an SK_sprite node, and then open parentheses, and we're just going to give it a color of an skcolor.blue color. You can put it as whatever you want right now. Again, we're going to be editing that later. And our size, you can edit to this to be whatever you want as well, but I'm going to set this equal to a CG size, open parentheses, and we'll give this a width of 200 and a height of 100. And it looks like I accidentally put this as a let value, so let's go back up here, and this should actually be var restart button equals SK_sprite node. Now, where do we want this button to be placed? Well, I'm just going to put it right in the middle of our scene, so I'm going to say restart button dot position will be equal to a CG point, open parentheses, x value will be self dot frame dot width divided by 2, like so, and our y value will be our self dot frame dot height divided by 2. Then close that off. Then also we want this restart button to be above everything else on the scene, so I'm going to say restart button dot z position will be equal to 6. And then we're just going to say self.addChild, and this will be our restart button. Now, how do we know if this button has been tapped or not? Well, let's go down here to our touches began, and just right outside of everything else, we're going to just add a bunch of spaces just so we can clarify what's going on here. We're going to say for touch in touches, and if you're wondering where I'm getting touches from, is from the set of UI touches up here. So we're analyzing the touch in this set of touches, and we're going to see if it's pressed the button or not. So also with this, we want to say let location, and we're going to set this equal to touch.location in node. And the node we want is just going to be our self. Now, one thing you'll notice later on is as soon as the button is loaded onto our scene and you restart the scene, the button will still stay there and it will still restart the scene. And that's not good. So we need to go down here and just say if died is equal to true, then we want to do this other stuff. And then right down here, we're wanting it to restart the game. But we haven't created a function to do that yet, so let's go right up here above our did move to view. And we're going to say func restart scene, and then open close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. And actually what we want to do is call another function. So this function will actually be create scene. Now, what do we want to do in our create scene? Well, pretty much everything that we've put inside of our did move to view. So let's just go ahead, copy and paste everything that we have inside of our did move to view. But first, we can actually just delete everything that's inside of our did move to view as well, and then just paste that right in there. So now we have our function called create scene, and we just basically have everything that was inside of the did move to view inside of there. So now we can go down to our did move to view, and we can just call create scene, like so. And now let's go ahead and restart the scene. Now, what do we want to do when we restart the scene? Well, we want to remove everything off the scene. So we're going to say self.remove all children. And then we're also going to say self.remove all actions so that we don't have any more wall pipes coming in. Then we're also going to say died will be equal to false, so we're resetting the game completely. And we're also going to say game started will be equal to false. Our score will be equal to 0. And we're going to set up the scene, so I'm just going to say create scene, like so. So I know that was a lot to take in. Hopefully you were able to follow that. If not, you can download this project down in the description down below and follow along via that. So now we have our ghost. Let's go ahead and jumpsuit through some pipes. I have 1 score. Oh, I hit a pipe. I'm dead. And our button was never called because we actually need to go back into our did begin contact. So we go into our did begin contact and we want to say create button, like so. And now if we were to build and run this, let's go ahead, flap like a ghost. And as soon as we hit the wall, we have our restart button on the scene. It's very ugly right now. We'll fix that part 4. Promise. So now we have this button. I'm just going to click that button and absolutely nothing happens. So we actually need to head back over here and go down to our touches began. And inside of this for touch in touches, we never really finished this off. So we need to say if our restart button dot contains point, and we're going to see if it contains the point of our location. Then we want to run this stuff in here and reset our scene, like so. So now if we were to build and run this, we should actually have it working now. So now let's go ahead, flap our ghost. Let's get a point or two. Oh, I died. And now we have our restart button, so I'm going to click on that, resets the scene, and we can play again. Happy days. Let me see if I can get a point without dying. Ah, yes. Oh, dang. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more videos like this from me in the future, be sure to subscribe. Today's app of the day is going to be Galaxy TA by AB Tasteper. It's actually a really good game and you should definitely check it out. And one thing that this person does is actually add a donation. So it's a free app, but you can donate money if you feel like it. So if you feel like helping out this developer, you can do so. And also just check out the app. My hard score is 393, see if you can beat me. Anyway, I will see you in the next one.